Hey guys, this is Young Living Diamond Sarah Harnisch, and I'm super stoked to have a few minutes to hang out with you tonight and talk about a topic that's really passionate to me this year, which is adversity and building in adversity and fighting through adversity and what it looks like when things aren't going the way that you planned and you're not hitting the timelines that you thought that you would be hitting, especially in your business and in your life and just as a human being, as a mother, as a wife, as a person with friends and family. And so this year's been a little bit rough on me personally, and I'll get to that in a minute. But there's three things I want to focus on today, and I'm just going to kind of tell you what they are, and then do a big welcome, and then we'll do some giveaways as well. Okay? So many of you guys know me from my book Game Plan. This little ditty right here. Thank you so much for snagging it off of Amazon. It's a book to build your business. And I didn't know what I was doing when I started network marketing 8 years ago, and what a whirlwind it's been these last 8 years in Young Living, and I would not trade a day. I do want to do a big shout out to Jen O'Sullivan also, who's just a treasured friend and a very gifted speaker and a very gifted author. It really is an honor to be on her page. I want you guys to know I use her book. So this is her wellness mapping book. If you don't have it yet, please go get it. I am scratching my friend's back a little because I so believe in her resources. And her supplements desk reference is the best reference guide on supplements I've ever seen. So just a little love to my friend Jen. And I'm going to jump right in. So tonight we're going to talk about three things. So this speech is going to be in three parts, and I have never given it on stage before. So you guys are the first ones to see it, but I did do it at a leaders retreat about a month ago, and we had everybody in the room crying because I think it's just, there's a place deep inside all of us where we feel like we're not doing good enough, right? We feel like we're behind the eight ball and we're feeling like things aren't moving quickly, and we're feeling a little bit of despair and hopelessness. And this year has probably been the hardest year of my life. And if you guys know me and you've heard my story at all, you know that my husband and I lived in the projects for 12 years, and we had a nonverbal autistic son that we raised, and the oldest of our 5 kids. So we've been through quite a bit, but this year definitely has been the hardest year I've ever faced. And I'll get to that in a moment. So 3 things I'm going to talk about tonight: adversity. I'll share a little bit of my story in these last couple of months and what's been happening to our family. The second thing is Young Living okay? Which I think is the question everybody's asking in the back of their mind is, are we all right as a company? Like, I keep seeing these posts online. I see leaders leaving, and, my OGV is down. I'm feeling very frustrated. I was focused at moving forward and ranking quickly, and now I'm just trying to tread water or get my rank back. And is everybody like that, or am I the only person that's like that? And so I want to tackle that a little bit head on. And then the third thing is, well, what do you do about it? How do you pull yourself out of that place, especially when we're battling inflation? We're right on the edge of them declaring an official recession in the United States. And so, like, how do we get out of the place that we're at? And the good news is that we operate on God's economy, right? We don't operate on our economy. We don't operate out of our bank account. We don't operate out of our spouse's bank account or their job status. We operate based on our Lord and Savior and what He has for us in our businesses. So we don't need to fear that stuff. But it's taken me quite a bit to get to that place where I'm like, okay, I don't need to fear this. I don't need to fear this. I'm going to be okay. So I'm going to share some things this year that have really helped me, and that'll be the third part of the speech. But I want you guys to know, I love it when you talk to me. I love interaction. I can see everything that you're saying to me. It's kind of like when you're in a football stadium and all the fans are yelling and then the football players go crazy. I get excited when I see you talking to me. So the more you talk and the more you interact, the more of a chance you have of me giving away some of my stuff. So what am I going to give away tonight? I wrote a new book. I wrote a new book the night before I got a terrible diagnosis. I sent this thing to print, and it's called the Game Plan Oil Script Book. There's 25 classes in this bad boy, and there's a workbook that's got just as much information and training in it as the book does. It's meant to be a nightstand read every evening, or to give you content for your teams. So I'm going to give that away. And then you guys asked that I wrote a teacher's edition, so it was easy, and you could pull just one script out and stand in front of people with large print and read it to them. So we did that too. So I'm going to give away those this evening as well. I've got the whole teacher's edition, and you can just pull a couple pages out for the script that you're reading that night and share it with your teams and have lots of content for them to be able to study and grow in Young Living. So what are some of the classes that I wrote? 101 Oils, 102 Thieves, 103 Ningxia, 104 CBD, the kids class, Fearless, which is all how to play with your oils, oils of the Bible. There's a whole class on Raindrop with a free PowerPoint on my website, oilabilityteam.com. You can download it and you just click and read. Even if you've never even studied Raindrop in your life, you can go teach Raindrop classes. The Feelings class, gut health, the 4 most important Young Living supplements, enzymes, Bloom, Art, Savvy, the hair class, the tooth class, hormones, animal aromatherapy, basic massage for couples, intro to diffusers, and seedlings, the manly man class, the techniques class, so the ear technique. I got a cool story to tell you about that in a few minutes. How to make your own blends. Have you ever been trained how to blend like an aromatherapist? The Einkorn class, and then a tribute to the founder of Young Living, D. Gary Young. So that's the book that I just punched out. And I've got 19 more books in my head, so there's plenty more coming for me, and I'm not going anywhere. So let me share a little bit more with you. Yeah, if you want to snag this, if you don't win it tonight, I'm going to give quite a few of these away, but if you don't win it tonight, it's up on Amazon, or you can grab it on my website, oilabilityteam.com. I also made a little book to go with it, a mini, right? Script book mini. It's got all 25 classes in it in mini form. And I use this as a book to get people to come to classes. So you're having a hard time getting people showing up. All 25 classes are in the front of this thing, and we use it as a passport on our team. So they cross off which classes they've come to. It's in the table of contents, and every time they bring the book back, I give them more gifts and more prizes for showing up, for getting more content, and they tell me the things they want to learn. So I'll be giving some of those away. Why don't I give a few away tonight? Let's see. Melanie Mueller, your winner number 1. Janet Cruz, your winner number 2. And I'm just going to put all of these in a box and send them to you. So you're my first 2 winners. So you guys email me at oilabilitywithsarah@gmail.com, SARAH, and my team will get a box out to you with the teacher's edition, the script book, the workbook, and the mini in it as well, okay? All right, let me tell you what's going on in my world and what's happened this last year. Forgive me for the PowerPoint; it's all Western themed because I taught this class at my leaders retreat in Tabiona, Utah, about a month and a half ago. So I'm going to start at the beginning. And we're going to focus on adversity for this evening, and we're going to talk a little bit about hardship. And for those of you guys that know me, that have heard my story, you know that my husband and I, we have 5 amazing children, and this is a pretty old picture of them. The 4 of the 5 are in that picture, but that's outside of the projects in Dixon, Illinois. And here's another picture of the projects. That's actually the day we moved without our 4th born son by accident. But don't worry, we went back for him. And so, you know, whenever I stack things up in my life, I'm always kind of stacking them up against this picture, against the worst times we've been through, and not having food in our cabinets and frequenting food pantries and all of that. And I always tell myself, yeah, there's nothing worse than that, right? Nothing could be worse than living through the projects for 12 years. And then I realize, like there can be things worse than living in the projects for 12 years, because you don't have a whole lot when you don't have your health. Right. At the very least, when I was living in the projects, I could take care of my kids, and I could get out of bed every day, and I could go to a job and be there for my family. But December 2nd this year, I got diagnosed with endometrial adenocarcinoma, and that's a malignant tumor. And I thought maybe it was like little tiny polyp or something that was very, very small. We don't have any history of cancer in my family. So my mom doesn't have cancer. My family, my sisters don't have cancer. My cousins don't have cancer. Nobody has it. So it was we kind of got blindsided. I had been having some pain in my ovary for about 2 years, and it was the middle of the pandemic, so I thought maybe it was cycle related. I'm a lolly, I'm a grandma, so I thought maybe it was the beginning of menopause for me, and I have never been through menopause, so I thought maybe that's what it was. I'll tell you guys, I'm a huge advocate of screening now, huge advocate of screening. So if you're one of those people that doesn't go in and do your regular screenings, please go do the screenings. That said, we're treating it holistically. And that's something between you and the Lord and how you feel that you need to be handling a diagnosis like that. But for me, I wanted to take the holistic route. So in October, I went into our family doctor, and she did some muscle testing on me, and I had been passing some pretty large blood clots. I thought that it was because I'd had COVID. I'm going to show you guys 2 graphic pictures during this speech. And I promise they're the only two that I'm going to show you that's bad. So the first one's coming up in a minute and the second one's in a couple of minutes. So if you're very sensitive to that, you can turn your eyes away for 5 seconds or so and I'll take it off the screen pretty quickly. But for those of you that are visual people that need to kind of see the journey, I do want to show you the journey and just be very upfront about what we've been through. So I'm going to show you the first one. So if you need to turn your camera away for a second, go ahead. I was passing blood clots that were the size of a human hand. And I had blood going down my legs, sometimes 16, 18 streams of blood, and my clothes would be soaked all the way up to the top of my belt line. And so I went into my family doctor and I showed her pictures of the clots and she said, Sarah, we have to go do an ultrasound. So she sent me in for an ultrasound and we found a very large fibroid, a very, very big fibroid. And we thought maybe the fibroid was causing all the clots. So I wasn't really stressed about it. I figured I was going to have to end up having surgery because I was anemic. I was losing too much blood. And so she sent me to an OBGYN. The OBGYN did an ultrasound. She saw the fibroid had gotten bigger in that month. And so she went to do a pelvic exam and there was some tissue that was coming through my cervix into my vajayjay. And forgive me for being so graphic, guys, but just to share my story with you. This is the first time I've shared on a public forum, so it's a little scary, I'll be honest with you. So I want to show you the fibroid. This is not one of the bad pictures. I'll always give you guys a heads up. But the fibroid that I had was about the size of a honeydew. It was about that big, very, very, very large. And it was causing a lot of problems with the bleeding and blood clots and all of that. So really, really, really stressful. And she went to go do that pelvic exam and she saw some tissue and her face went white. And she looked at her nurse and she said, I need you to go get me equipment to do a biopsy. And we were going to do a biopsy a little later, but she said, no, I'm going to do it right now. And I just praise the Lord that little piece of tissue was there because the minute that we suspected anything was going on, I went vegan and started juicing like crazy and we wouldn't have seen it. If she hadn't snipped it while we were in there. So she took a little snippet. It was probably 1.5 centimeters or so, put it into a jar, sent it off. And she said, it could be polyp. I'm not really sure, but it could be a polyp. I'm 43 years old. Again, no history at all. And she goes, or it could be cancer. We're really not sure. But she said, have a good Thanksgiving. Don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. I'll call you personally when I get the results back. So we were supposed to get it back at 5 days. 10 days later, she calls me back and she said, would you like to come into my office? And she goes, I want to talk to you about the results. And I said, when can we come in? She said, in 6 days. I said, I've already waited 10 days. Just tell me. Just tell me what's going on. So she took a deep breath and she said, it is malignant. You have uterine cancer and it's an endometrial adenocarcinoma. And you're basically untouchable now. I can't do a surgery to take the fibroid out. You're going to have to go to an oncologist. And I remember John and I just kind of sat down on the bed for a second and we're listening to her. And I'm like, an oncologist? Why would I need an oncologist? I'm 43 years old. We eat $700 a week in organic groceries. We're young living people. We've switched everything over in our house. We don't do sugar, gluten, and dairy. Like, I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. And she said, I don't understand either, but she goes, I can't do surgery on you for the fibroid. And so she referred us to a guy in Greenville, South Carolina, where I live, to go in and get this taken out. And we thought maybe it was just that little snippet that she snipped, or just a little bit that was right there. I didn't really think a whole lot of it. And we waited a month to be able to get in to this oncologist. And it was so weird, guys. I'm looking up, what is endometrial adenocarcinoma? What actually is that? What are the risk factors for it? Being obese, never having kids. I have 5 kids. If your skin is white, you have like the least amount of chance of having it. If you have no family history, probably not. There's just every single risk factor. I had none of them. Not anything. Nothing anywhere. Not even lifestyle. We just couldn't figure out what was going on. And so I went in for the oncology meeting and the guy was just very curt and abrupt with us. And he said, I need to do a hysterectomy. I said, I don't think I really want to do a hysterectomy. He said, it's cancer. You have to do a hysterectomy. There's really no other way around it. And he goes, I'm going to take your uterus, your cervix, your fallopian tubes, your ovaries, and anything else that I see when I go in there. If the cancer's touching it, we're going to take it. So you might wake up without a bladder. You might wake up without part of your stomach. You might wake up without part of your colon. We don't know until we go in. And I said, well, can you stage it? Like, how do we know even what we're dealing with? Because maybe we wouldn't do the surgery if we knew the stage of it. And he said, no, we have to do the surgery to do the staging on the cancer. So I walked away, and I told him, I said, well, I go, can you at least leave my ovaries? If they're okay, could you just leave those? And he said, no. He goes, we're not going to leave your ovaries. And I said, he goes, it's just standard protocol for uterine cancer. We take the ovaries. And so I pulled out a study that I had printed and brought with me. And he said, well, this was a study that was done that said you're at risk for 7 other cancers and, osteoporosis and all sorts of stuff if you take my ovaries out. And he said, I'm sure it's not a reputable study. And I said, I'm a news anchor. That's what I do, is I look up reputable studies. I said, I know what a primary source looks like. This was done with 40,000 people. There was a control group. And he goes, I'm sure it's not reputable. Let me look at it. And then he looks at the study, just very arrogant man. And he looks back at me and he said, well, he goes, if you were 50, I wouldn't even listen to you. But because you're 43, all right, he goes, we can talk about leaving your ovaries. But if you were 50, I would tell you just to leave my office and I don't really need your business, basically, was what he's saying, because you'd be too old and we would just take your ovaries anyway and you're close to menopause, but because you're 43, I'll listen. And he said, maybe you should just get a second opinion. And so he gave me a name of another guy in this town that we lived in to go get a second opinion. Yeah. And it really, John and I were very, very uncomfortable because the guy was very abrasive. And so we walked out of his office and I just didn't have a peace. So I started calling everybody that I knew in the natural health world. I called H.K. Lynn, who's our head of research and development at Young Living, and he lost his sister to endometrial adenocarcinoma. And I asked him, I said, HK, what did you guys do? What did you do? And he just looked at me and he said, the one mistake that we made was we didn't take the primary tumor out. We left it in her body. And he goes, Sarah, he goes, you got to get the tumor out. You're going to have surgery. You have to. He goes, if we could go back and do it again, we would have taken the tumor out and then treated holistically. And that was a real kick in the face to me. I contacted my friend Ali Wanker, who you guys saw earlier today. He's a very good friend of mine. And he said the same thing. It's your life. You have to. I contacted Dan Purser, who's going to be speaking at convention. Same thing. He took his coat off and he hung it on the hook and he sat across the desk from me and he goes, I'm going to talk to you like you're my daughter. Go get the cancer out. Go have the surgery, get the cancer out. He said, clean up the mess holistically, but go get the cancer out. So Ali offered to have me do at MD Anderson, which is the best cancer facility in the entire world. He worked there for 10 years as an anesthesiologist. And within a couple of days, he had the whole department head of the endometrial adenocarcinoma, the head called me and was able to get me in within 10 days to do the surgery. So while we were waiting to do it, we did an MRI here. And again, I was just thinking that it was maybe a polyp. And this is what came back on the MRI. So this is my belly button. This is my tush. That's my leg. And that is my abdomen. The tumor filled my entire pelvic cavity. It was literally from my belly button all the way to my spine. It was 14 centimeters of tumor. There was the fibroid, and there was 6.5 centimeters. And then there was another fibroid, and then there were 3 malignant tumors. The biggest one was 5.5 centimeters, which is this one in the center. When you look at it, it looks like a little circle, like you could just go in and just take it out, right? Just take the uterus out, cut the little circle out, put it back in. And but when I saw what came out, I realized, oh my word, there's no way. No way. In the middle of all this is right over Christmas with my family, and I was scrolling Facebook, and I had seen this picture come up on Facebook, and it was a picture of Jesus, and he was sticking his hand through the water, and he was trying to reach down for Peter in the water to pull him out. And I told my husband, I said, I feel like that picture just keeps popping up everywhere. Everywhere that I go, it's this picture of Jesus reaching his hand through the water. And I asked my husband for Christmas, I said, could you just find that picture for me? Because I just feel like I need some hope. I need something to hang on to, because that tumor is huge. And they're telling me that by the time that it's 2 centimeters, and we're staring down at least one 5.5 centimeter tumor here, that it's already metastasized into different parts of my body. And I'm scared, and we don't have it staged, and we don't know what we're up against. And I could just use a little bit of hope from the Lord. And so Christmas came and went, and the picture didn't show up. He couldn't find it. And he ended up finding it right before we left for MD Anderson. He walks in with the biggest grin on his face, and he's got this canvas in his hands, and he pulls it out, and we hung it up right next to my bed. So I see this thing every morning when I wake up and every night when I go to bed. And the Lord has given me this picture every single day since I don't even, it's been at least a couple of months now. While I was going through surgery, everything, he's given me this picture every day. I've had friends text me different variations of it. I've seen it on the cover of magazines. I've seen it on different, just different publications, and, you know, people have texted it to me, and it just keeps showing up everywhere I'm at. Even when I was at MD Anderson, every time I would walk into a different room or a different doctor or a different oncologist, there would either be a picture of lavender or I would see some variation of this picture. It was just like the Lord was telling me, Sarah, I got you, I got you, I got you, I got you. It's okay. You know, I would hear him saying in the back of my mind, you know, I'm not going to leave you. I'm not gonna forsake you. I'm not gonna leave you. I'm holding on to you, and it's gonna be okay. You don't need to be afraid. You don't need to be afraid, because I'm gonna walk this entire thing with you. And so in the moments when I'm really, really scared, and there's still moments, I'm not through this yet. I'll tell you what happened, the rest of the story in a moment. But in the moments when I'm really scared, I just say out loud to the Lord, I say, I trust you, God. I trust you. I trust you. I trust you. And then I can see his hand going through the water all over again. And he's just saying, I've got you. I've got you. I've got you. That he won't leave me, and he won't forsake me, and he won't leave you, and he won't forsake you either. You know, no matter what you're facing in your life, or your discouragements, or your hopelessness, or the feelings that you can't get through it, or you're scared, you know, you don't know what's ahead, and you don't know what to expect. I know what that feeling feels like. I didn't really know what that feeling felt like before this year, but I've gotten a completely different perspective. So March 1st, John and I showed up on the campus of MD Anderson. And guys, if you know me, you know that I am really not into the whole medical world. So this was quite a jump for me. I have not had Advil, Tylenol, ibuprofen in my body in 12 years, nothing. And this is literally a city. When you get into Houston, it's the largest cancer center in the entire world. And when we went there, we thought they were going to do a little laparoscopic surgery. We'd be able to take the tumor out through tiny incisions. It would be a 1-week recovery time, was what they were telling us. And so that's what I thought when we were walking in. In the morning of surgery, when I went in there, they said, no, you know, we did an MRI, we looked at it, the tumors are too large, and we need to do exploratory surgery to make sure that it's not on your other organs. So we are going to have to cut you open. And so I thought maybe it'd be a C-section incision, maybe 3-4 inches right along my pubic bone. They ended up doing a 10-inch vertical incision above my belly button to try to get my uterus out and all of the tumors out that were in my uterus. And so God just had all these little God winks through the whole thing. So this man's name is Ron, and he was my anesthesiologist, and he was hand trained by Ollie Wenker. So the minute that I walked in there and I dropped Ollie's name, he was just all over me. He goes, we have got you. We're going to take good care of you. Nothing's going to happen. You know, I will keep you safe. He was laughing. He was lighthearted. And I felt great going into surgery. Like, it was the most amazing experience. I mean, going through an abdominal surgery, major surgery, is never an amazing experience, but Ron made it a lot easier. It's just these little God winks that, like, Ollie was all over that building, right? So this was me right when I came out of surgery. Normally you're in surgery for a couple of hours, and then you stay for 1 day, maybe 2 days, and you get released. But when I came out, we couldn't get my bladder to wake up. So, and I was having a very, very hard time walking on the walker. I didn't know when you have a major abdominal surgery that you have to learn how to walk again because your core just got cut open. I mean, when they opened me up, they could see my spine. I was wide open when they took the tumors out of my body. So I ended up being in the hospital for 6 days. And then I had 8 Foley catheters. I had an allergic reaction to one of them, and then I got a bladder infection. So we had to stay another 6 days in a hotel next to the hospital to get the Foley catheter removed. And I ended up going home 2 weeks later, and we had waited a week and a half for the surgery. So we were there almost a month at MD Anderson. But all these little God winks in the journey. So my sister has got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and she's pregnant. And she put her kids in the car and drove 15 hours through the night and got there 15 minutes before they closed the visitors center and snuck into the building because John was already there and they only let one person in a day, and snuck up to my floor just to see me and then stay there to say goodbye. She stayed the whole next day to take care of me. And Just the nurses were amazing, and the medical staff was amazing, and my surgeon was amazing. And it's like God just erased all that stuff that happened when I was with an oncologist here in Greenville. He was incredible. All right, I told you guys I was going to show you a couple of hard pictures. So the next picture's coming up. It's the next slide. And if you're really sensitive to stuff, go ahead and turn your eyes away. I'm just giving you a disclaimer here before you look, all right? This was what they took out of my body. So we were able to see pictures of it afterwards. This was the tumor. So what you're seeing on the outside, this is the fibroid, and this is my uterus. And the inside of my uterus, this is it kind of flayed. The inside of my uterus was filled with cancer. And I realized there was no way that they were going to be able to just go in and cut the circle out, right? There was cancer. All of this is cancer. That's my cervix. That's all cancer. And this was my incision after I came out of surgery. So, pretty crazy. A lot more than what I expected going into it. And it's been a bit of a recovery, learning how to walk again and getting off the walker, getting out of a wheelchair. Even now I'm still a little bit light on my feet some days, and it's been a bit of a journey. So we did some epigenetics testing while I was there, and we found out that my MLH1 gene was turned off. That's the gene that stops cancer from forming tumors in your body. And in my pathology report, it came back with 14 and a half centimeters of tumor that they took out, some benign, some malignant. And it had left the uterus and was in my lymphovascular system. And so they haven't given me statistics on survival rate yet, but if there's lymphovascular involvement, so if it's left the uterus, usually there's about a 60% survival rate to 5 years. Then they found a second cancer in my fallopian tube, which was a stick lesion, so precursor to high-grade serous carcinoma. That was not the endometrial adenocarcinoma that they had found in my uterus. It's actually a type of ovarian cancer. They also found a Tarlov cyst in my spine, and we're not sure what that is. And since the surgery, a new mass has formed on my right ovary that's very, very painful. That's 5 centimeters. And we don't know what that is. We're thinking that it's a cyst. But without doing a biopsy, we don't know. Typically, cysts go away in 1 to 3 months, and I'm starting my 4th month now of having this cyst on my ovary. What they're concerned about is even if there's microscopic cancer still in that ovary, that if that cyst bursts or if anything happens or ruptures or any of that it would spread through my entire pelvic cavity. So it's been 14 weeks since I've had surgery, and I left there, I came home, I healed, and now I've decided to fight this thing on my terms and to fight it holistically. And so I went on to a place called Hope for Cancer. I just got back 5 days ago from Hope for Cancer. Many of you guys are saying, oh, you look so good. It's because I just spent 22 days doing hyperbaric oxygen and over 300 holistic treatments. And then they sent all the equipment here to my house, and I'm setting up a mini Hope for Cancer at my house right now. And basically we just live in 12-week increments. So every 12 weeks, I go back to MD Anderson. They do more scans, they do more tests. At Hope for Cancer, they found that my liver, instead of being 10 or 11 centimeters, it's 19 centimeters. So it's almost double the size it should be. And there are lesions all over my liver. So they don't know if it's metastatic to my liver. They don't know if what's going on in my ovary is cancer or if it's a cyst, if it's just a simple cyst. We just don't know. So MD Anderson said that when I go back in August, if that mass on my right side is still the same size and they want to go in and do another abdominal surgery and they want to take my right ovary out and send it to pathology and see if it also has cancer in it. And so what I've been doing is a lot of epigenetics to try to get that gene flipped back on in my body, and said goodbye to my nursing team at MD Anderson. I said I get to see them every 12 weeks. I go back. They're amazing people. I've had incredible occupational therapists and physical therapists, and learning how to walk and getting my strength back. Again, this is my husband and I driving back home. This is some of my setup at home with all of the bottles everywhere. But even while I was there, even when I was at MD Anderson, there were still people coming into my room, people that needed help. One of the nurses came in and told me that her husband has diabetes. Another one came and said she had diabetes. And so we were talking about NINCSHA and the benefits of NINCSHA. And so I've got people from MD Anderson that wanted NINCSHA and went down to Hope for Cancer and ended up teaching a 101 class at Hope for Cancer. And got the names of 22 people at Hope for Cancer that want to get starter kits and be on our team, and some business builders. And it's teaching me that, this is kind of a long haul thing. I'm not going to see this gone in a week, or 2 weeks. This isn't a cold that just disappears. I have to figure out how to do 4 hours of cancer treatment and give myself shots and immunotherapy and all of the different things. I got to figure all that out while I'm building my business and while I'm taking care of my family. And what does that look like? How do you live with a chronic disease, until I can get that no evidence of disease marker? How do you live with that, and battle cancer and run a business? It's how we take care of our family, And so the thing the Lord's really just been imposing on me is to find a new normal, but to do it consistently. Find a new normal, but to do it consistently. Cancer is not an excuse to ignore a calling from the Lord. And I really do believe that, I believe that the Lord didn't make any mistakes when he brought you to this business, guys. And when he brought me to this business, I don't think that he made any mistakes at all. All right. But you can't just sit and say it's a recession. I can't do it. People need to buy gas instead of buying shampoo. I can't do it. You got to hold on to the truths that the things that the Lord's put in front of you. And that is that he'll never leave you and he'll never forsake you. Now, no matter how high gas prices get, or if your best friend drops off your team, or if you lose a rank, it doesn't matter. You just walk through your day and say, God, I trust you. I trust you. I trust you. I trust you. Right. And he'll say, I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. So we asked Hope for Cancer. We asked MD Anderson when we can get a no evidence of disease. And they said, basically, not for years. It'll be years. So every 12 weeks, I just keep going back and we pray that there's nothing new that's formed, and that even though it had left the uterus and it's in those channels, the lymph nodes, I've got 2 suspicious lymph nodes right now, it's going to be gone. We call it sushi in our house because I hate the word cancer. So sushi be gone, sushi be gone. So what I tell you is that sometimes God gives us hard, right? He gives us hard, and it's okay. It's what he's got for us. I really believe that sometimes we walk hard things because people after us need the testimony, and they need the story, and they need the hope, and they need the encouragement. And so I told the Lord when I was 19 years old, God, I don't want to be in the bulrushes. I want to be a worker in the fields for you. So whatever that looks like, whatever it is, Lord, I want you to use me. And if that means walking through cancer at 43 years old, then I will do it. I will do whatever you have in front of me, because I don't understand the why we have hardship, why we lose spouses, why we go through chronic disease, why people get molested or get raped, or, are in hard marriages, or have to raise autistic children, or, have injuries or get hurt. I don't understand all of that stuff, but I do know that God doesn't leave you and he doesn't forsake you, and that your story needs to be told, right? People need to hear it. They need to hear what you've gone through, because it's going to give them hope. So find a way. All right, find a way. A really good friend of mine, Renee Yo, is also a diamond in Young Living, and she was battling cancer. And she passed away last month, and she recorded a video for me right before she died. And she basically told me in that video that you have to find the victory every single day. You've got to find the victory in it. So I'm sitting here right now. I don't know if what's on my ovaries is cancer. I don't know if the Tarlov cyst is cancer. I don't know if what's on my liver is cancer. I don't know if those lymph nodes they saw that were enlarged, I don't know if there's any cancer in those. I have no idea. But I do know that God is good. And I do know that I'm not going to stop fighting. And I know that I'm going to take Renee's advice, which is to find the victory in things every single day, to look for the small things. So guys, you might have 1,000 things go wrong, right? But find the one thing that goes right? Find the one thing that goes right and look for the victories. One of the things I could say about Renee, and what they said at her funeral when she passed away, was that she never complained. They never, ever heard her complain, ever. I want to be the person where they say, I never heard her complain. Never heard her complain, right? And I don't know that I'm that person, right? There are days where I sit back, even today. Today was a very high pain day for me. My pain was probably a 5 or a 6, almost to the point where I was ready to take pain medicine for it. And I tried very, very hard not to do any pain medicine. And so I step back at 7 o'clock tonight, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to speak this evening. I haven't spoken in 6 months. Like maybe I can't do it tonight. Maybe it's too hard. Maybe the pain is too strong. And I laid in bed until 10 minutes before I had to get on and talk to you guys. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to let Satan get the upper hand. I'm not going to let him get the victory through the pain or through the fear or through the things that I don't know. Because what I do know is that we serve a great big God who loves us. And he's going to stay at our side, right? He's going to stay at our side. All right. So second part of the speech. I want to talk about Young Living for a minute, and I'm going to kind of shift gears, and I'm going to take some of this training in adversity, and we're going to kind of weave it through the business training here, because I'm not giving up on my business in the middle of this. I was still teaching classes while I was at Hope for Cancer in Tijuana last week, and and connecting with people and signing people. And I'm not going to use this as a crutch to not take care of my family, right? I mean, there are times in your life, like when I was in the surgery. Okay, I wasn't teaching when I was in surgery, but but most of the time we can. Like we can get out there and we can do the things that are hard and we can fight through it. We just don't want to, right? Or we're dealing with the mental game of where we're at and we're not sure how to get out of it. So let's talk about Young Living for a minute, because all right, put your hand up in the air. If anybody has lost OGV, if anybody's lost leaders to other MLMs, if anybody has lost a rank, all right, I want to see you guys just be honest and raw with me. I've not lost my diamond ship, but I have lost 200,000 OGV. We've gone from 74 silvers on our team down to 18 silvers on our team. So I don't want you guys to think that you're the only one, or that the diamonds sitting up there are, they're not feeling any of this at all, right? It's not, because it's not true. My paycheck has been cut by half in the last year since we've been going through the recession. So it's really easy to look at all of that and just be like, all right, I quit. Young Living doesn't work. Like it doesn't work. All right. Megan Cogdill, Nancy Helmick, and let's see, Princess Fariel Farouk. You three, I'm going to send you guys 20 minis, 20 script book minis. So I need you to email me at oilabilitywithsarah, SARAH, @gmail.com. Okay. Our loyalty rewards went from 3,600 people to 2,700 people just over the summer. Last summer, we lost 1,000 people off of loyalty rewards. So I get it. I feel it. And we're in a bricklaying season with Young Living. There's a lot of things going on. I think most of it at this point is the economy. At this point, it's economic. But if I can jump back a year and what kind of kickstarted it, and I'm just going to be raw with you guys. I'm a news anchor. I followed news cycles for 24 years. So I've been through many, many presidents, being an anchor, and many, many elections. And I was on the air through the 2008 recession. So I see cycles, economic cycles. And I just want to talk to you very frankly about what I'm seeing as a news anchor. So I'm setting my diamond hat aside and I'm setting my Young Living hat aside. I'm just going to talk to you really frankly about where we're at in the economy. I think part of it is Biden bucks, handing checks out to people, while we were going through COVID and the pandemic. It's led to massive inflation this year. You cannot hand out checks like that when nobody's going to work, and the GDP is down and everything because of the pandemic, and not see it hit the economy within 12 months. So what we're seeing right now is the checks that went out. Supply shortages are playing a part of it as well. Young Living, I know just to make amino wise, is 20 different components. And that went out of stock for a little bit last year because the cap. It was hard for them to source the cap because one company went and bought all the caps. One company went and bought all the shampoo bottles. Like these big Johnson & Johnson companies will buy all the shampoo bottles in the United States. Then a company like Young Living can't come in and get any shampoo bottles. So they've been pivoting and putting things in different bottles and different size bottles, and our hand sanitizer in different bottles, right? Some of it was the website, and we have to own that because we should have fixed our website years ago, right? But our website is new, it's amazing, and it's like Amazon worthy. And I think now the people that we would have lost by going through a website transition are gone. And I feel like we can move forward now. And our site is gorgeous and it's very user friendly and very easy to use. And if we had stayed on the site that we were on before, we wouldn't have a business. It couldn't handle Black Friday. It couldn't handle our sales. So we needed the new website. It had to happen, right? Leadership turnover. You guys might have noticed there's a lot of people that aren't in Young Living anymore at corporate. And so some of it is just handing over new leadership and them learning the ropes. Fear, the pandemic, that we just came through. Now we have monkeypox, right? So just all of this stuff. And it's just like a two punch to businesses out there. It's a punch and a punch and a punch and a punch and a punch. But I'll tell you right now, the biggest thing that we're feeling in Young Living, and it's not just Young Living, by the way, it's every network marketing company. It is every single company in the United States, every company. Now the big thing that we're feeling is inflation. So if you're seeing, I'm noticing we haven't had a huge drop off in the number of people on my team in the last 4 or 5 months, but their orders are smaller. So they were spending 300 PV or 400 PV, and now they're spending 100 PV or 125 or maybe the 190 PV. They're not spending as much. So what on earth is going on there? Because we're not losing people. They're not dropping off. What's going on? What's going on is gas at $5 a gallon, having to go buy ground beef at $12 a pound, having the prices of milk go up, 40% inflation. It's the highest inflation in 40 years. I know funky pox, right? Don't get me started, guys. I promised I wouldn't be political today. I'm giving you my news anchor side, which can be Democratic and Republican, right? So right now it really is the inflation, which actually is great. Okay, I know you're going to think I'm totally off my rocker, but it really is a very good thing because we're done with the Biden buck stuff. The supply shortages are ending. People have acclimated to the new website. We have solid leadership at Young Living. It's phenomenal, guys. We've had 2 diamond leader trainings. Ben Riley's back in a seat. We've got Prasad, Mary at the helm. We have an amazing team. They're involving Jacob and Kate, and I mean, what's coming is way better than what's been behind us. The pandemic is wrapping up right now, so we're at the end of all that. So basically, all those things that I just listed, we're at the very dregs of it, and we're just in the middle of this inflationary period right now. And the good news with that is inflation will start to end as we hit the midterm elections, and we have a turnover in Congress and another presidential election. So I just want you guys to know I understand what's going on, all right? And so it means that we have to make some pivots in our business, all right? It means some things have to change just a little bit. In our business. And that's okay. The way you were doing things before may not be the way that you're doing things now. I would do a rally and we'd have 800 people show up to a rally. I did a rally in January last year. We had 25 people show up, 25 in the same city at the same place instead of 800. It's crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. I would go to do a raindrop class at my house. I'd have 50 people show up to a raindrop class. Now I have to drive to a person's house and do a one-on-one with them to get them to show up. And this is at the diamond level. All right, the diamond level. So I've given it a new nickname. I call it bricklaying. We're in a bricklaying season. Yeah, Jennifer Marshall said just in U.S. inflation jumps to 8.6% in May, the highest since 1981. It is the highest in 40 years. But I really do believe, guys, I would never, ever, ever sugarcoat stuff for you. I really do believe that it's temporary. I don't think that it's a permanent thing. I don't think it's going to last very long. But we have to work through it in our businesses, right? We can't just put our business on a shelf and forget that we have it, because then the team that we've been connecting with, they're not going to be there when we come back to start running our businesses again. So that means you guys have to keep showing up, even though it's a very hard season right now. You have to keep teaching. You have to keep doing one-on-ones. You have to keep trying to sign 1 or 2 people a month. You have to keep doing leader events. You have to keep gathering your people. You have to keep doing things online and keep posting things, even though it's hard. And even though your orders might be a little bit smaller than they were before. We have 6 accounts. It's me and my husband and 4 of my children. And I order on all of my children's accounts. They're adult children, but they're not ordering 300 PV. So I am. I give them what they need out of their box and I keep all their goodies, right? And we were ordering $400 on every single one of those. And now we're down to 100 PV on all of our kids' accounts. And John and I only spend the $400 to make sure what we've got, right? So let me just give you some things that I learned from the last 2 diamond events. I'm just going to give you a couple of talking points, and then I'm going to tell you how I personally am pulling out of this. And I don't want you to think that you're the only person feeling it, right? I want you to know that I have not talked to a single diamond that has not lost significant OGV in leadership. Like in most cases, 40 or 50% OGV. And I haven't talked to every single diamond, so I can't tell you guys unequivocally, but I can tell you from the people that I've talked to, which is probably at least 100 of the diamonds, we're all feeling it. Every single one of us is feeling it. So I don't want you to think, oh, I'm a star. Oh, I'm a senior star. Or I was a silver, but now I'm a senior star and nobody understands what I'm going through. I promise you it's across the board, and it's not just Young Living. I'm talking to my friends that are in other network marketing companies. They're feeling the same thing. Amazon had to increase their prime, right? ButcherBox had to increase their base rates. Every single company is increasing their rates right now because they're trying to stay afloat, right? So Kristen Todd, she's one of the people we have in corporate leadership. She said that Amway, it took 18 months to 2 years to recoup from them doing their new website. They had to launch a new website a few years ago, and she was at Amway in their upper leadership when they were trying to field that, and their average loss was 27%. And that's what John and I are seeing across our team too, is about 30% that we've lost. And now, you know what? Now they're number 1 in the world after their website. but it took them 18 months to recoup. And we're at the 1 year mark right now. Right? So just after the midterms, where does that put us? 18 months to recoup. So, that's one positive. Young Living is number 7 in the world. We're number 7 in the world. That's awesome, right? Calls, we're taking 25 minutes a person a year ago, or they were taking like 5 hours a person. And now they're down to like 11 minutes in our call center. It's awesome. We're doing 60 to 70,000 orders a day through our website, which is much better than when we had our old website, right? There's only 4 well-run private trading companies in the entire world that are over $1 billion. Young Living is $2.2 billion. So until a company hits $1 billion, it's not secure. So Young Living is one of only 4 companies in the world that's private. That's huge. That means that we don't have stockholders deciding what's best for our business and cutting products that Gary created, right? We've got Mary running it. We've got the executive team running it, which is pretty amazing. One of the things they told us at the Diamond Training is when you are successful, we have jobs, right? When you're successful, we have jobs. So it's pretty amazing what Young Living has been through, and I think that they're stronger for it. I love Richard Blissbrook. I love a little RBB in my life. I love his book, 4-Year Career. If you guys haven't grabbed that, go get it. But there's 2 quotes I want to share with you guys, and then I'm going to wrap this up and tell you exactly what I have been doing this year to turn the ship around. I had my best month I've ever had, probably in the last 3 or 4 years. 22 kit sales in the month of May. And I'm going to tell you some of the things that I'm doing, and that's how we're going to wrap it up. But let me just give you two Richard quotes. The man is amazing, so go follow him on Facebook. He says, we have 2 distinct advantages in the marketplace that no one can compete with or dispute. Number 1, the legacy of Gary Young. We need to capture as many moments of spirit and wisdom as we can and pull them forward for the current leaders to bathe in. And number 2, the farm experience. No other company offers it. No other company can replicate the authenticity of the farm experience. Young Living farmers are those, the people that have been to a farm are forever changed. And I would tell you, those of you that go to convention, you'll be forever changed. If you get any of your team to go to convention, even if they're customers, they will be Young Living for life, just getting to convention. Not watching it virtually, but actually going to convention. No other company can replicate our farms, because there isn't a single company in the world that lets you go to them. We are the only one. So a Young Living Farmers Facebook group would be super cool. But for now, you can go to the YouTube channel and you can watch all of the stuff on our farms and go visit the farms. The second thing Richard Bliss said was in the last 27 years, there have been at least 10,000 network marketing companies launched in the United States. Young Living is number 7 in the world, but number 1 out of those 10,000 that were launched, number 1 in sales and all 10,000. We're number 7 in the world out of every direct sales company launched in the last 120 years. Only 2 other companies are in our class, Primerica and Melaleuca. Both of them are 30 years old and 2.2 and 2.7 billion, in sales they do respectively. So, and we're at 2.2 billion. We are the rarest of rarefied air. And you did all of that without really knowing how to recruit. Amway, Herbalife, Nu Skin, Primerica, Melaleuca, they're all recruiting machines. We do it authentically. We do it authentically, right? We're 30 years old. Most network marketing companies fail within 7 years. We're over the $1 billion hump, okay? So we're amazing, guys. This is an amazing company. It's an amazing company to stick with forever. Forever. So I'm predicting after the midterms, you guys are going to see a good bump. And after we get a new president, I think we're going to exceed the volume that we've been at. And one of the things they called Young Living when we were at the Diamond Training was the sleeping dragon, which I love. We really are the sleeping dragon. We get through the squeeze of this recession that we're facing, past the inflationary period, and it's just going to absolutely explode, just like we did in 2014, 2015, 2016. And you guys you'll be feeling it all over again. So ride out the hard times, guys. It's like the stock market. It's not anything Young Living's doing wrong. They're amazing. Wait for convention and wait for our new products, because they did an amazing at innovating the new products. Again, Leslie says, I'm coming for y'all. I know, right? I'm coming for you. All right. I'm going to go into the third part of the speech, and then we're going to wrap this up. Let me do some giveaways. All right. Gina Sliskovich, thank you for talking to me, girl. I'm going to give you 20 Fearless books. This is my little book that explains why clean living, why oiling. It's an amazing book. I give this to every single person in my classes. Game Plan is the only prosthetic prospecting book in Young Living ever written. So if you're having a hard time finding business builders, this little mini game plan book is what I use in my classes. I still use it today, still sign business builders today with it. So when I finish my classes, I said, do you want to learn how to get your oils for free? I hand this out, do a 10-minute teacher training, and then funnel them into a class. So let me see. Sonia Bishop, you just won 20 game plan minis. All right, let me give you 10 quick tips for building during a recession. All right, my prediction is they're going to announce that we're officially in a recession. We get through the end of Q2, which is going to be the end of June. If you guys didn't get the email yet in your Young Living box, there's an email in there saying that Young Living's prices are going to be going up. Guys, don't be discouraged by this kind of stuff. This is them pivoting to make sure that we have a business to come back to, when the inflation is over and the recession is over. This is them staying on top of it. So I see all the things that they're doing as very, very good things to keep Young Living a solvent company. So don't be discouraged. Just get out there and sell your lavender at $2 a bottle more, or whatever price they set it in. All right. You guys want me to give away a teacher's edition? I can do that. So let me give you my top 10 tips for building in adversity. And hopefully this is just a huge gut check for you, and you get some really, really good meat out of this. This isn't just stuff I'm throwing under the bridge, guys, and this isn't stuff that I have trained about over and over and over again. This is stuff that I wrote down after coming back from MD Anderson, after sitting down, at Hope for Cancer, after working with my team, and this is stuff where we actually have seen results. So I'm not just throwing stuff at the wall here to see what works or pulling things out of network marketing books. When we have kit sales, these are the things that my team is doing, okay? So I want you guys to focus on these 10 things and just keep focusing on these things when you get the news that we're in a recession, when the prices go up July 1st, as you're trying to build in the middle of this, you just keep your eyes focused forward, okay? Not with a complaining spirit, but forward, and focus on these 10 things. So tip number one, stop beating yourself up. Okay, stop it. I told you, you're not the only person feeling the OGV loss. It's across the board, and it's not Young Living's fault, all right? It is all across the United States. So stop beating yourself up and stop looking at all the grass is greener on the other side stuff. It's just baloney. Stick with what you've started building. Ride out the storm, just as if you put money in the stock market. You're not just going to pull it out every time there's bumps in the road. You got to leave it in long term. So if you've lost OGV, leaders, momentum, interest, it's okay. Your feelings are not rare, and they're absolutely validated. So here's the deal. You got two choices this year. You can either stay on the ground or you can stand. I choose to stand. Okay, I have my eyes on Royal Crown Diamond, and I will be gaining ground this year. So stop telling yourself you can't do this just because you've lost leaders. It's all right. Just because they're gone now doesn't mean they're gone forever, and it definitely doesn't mean that God isn't going to draw new leaders to your team. So don't focus on that stuff. So tip number 2, look back 2 ranks and do those things. Okay, do those things. How did you get where you are right now? How did you get there? All right. If you are a senior star, how did you get to senior star? If you're an executive, what did you do? Were you doing one-on-one classes? Were you doing classes on Facebook? Were you doing vendor events? What were you doing? Were you posting on Instagram and people were excited and you responded to the comments? Look back at what you were doing 2 ranks ago and go do those things again. For me, I'm a diamond. I'm actually looking back at what I did when I was silver, and I'm going back to my silver activities as if I am not even a diamond right now. Do what got you momentum. Right? Do those things. Teach classes, train your leaders, do product education with your customers so that they get on Subscribe to Save. You want them on. And if you need content for your team, guys, I wrote a book with 25 classes in it, right? 25 classes in here. So grab it, and you got tons and tons of content. Pull out what you want to teach and don't teach what you don't want to teach, but go back and do the thing that got you the rank in the first place. 3rd tip, get in front of your team. This is so important. If you have leaders, spend time with them face to face, not just on a Zoom call. The people that I'm spending time with are the ones that show up, the ones that I got on a plane with and I worked with them for a little bit. And sometimes they're clocked out. They haven't hit their rank. Some of them aren't even spending 100 PV. And I get on a plane, or I just get in my car and drive to them and I say, what can I do to serve you? Servant-led leadership. What do you need? Girl, I did not show up to tell you to start teaching classes. I showed up because you need something. Tell me what you need and let me just serve you. Let me wash your feet for a little bit. Do you need me to give you a raindrop? Do you need a little foot detox? Do we need to sit down and get some oils on you and do some emotional release? Like, what is the thing that you need to feel okay? Let's do that thing together. You are not alone. I'm going to hold your hand and we're going to fight for this rank together. And you are not going to have to do it by yourself because this is not a one-person business. All right. Tip number 4, get to events. Get to events. host events. It doesn't matter if it's a watch party for an online streamed Young Living event. If you didn't get your tickets by yesterday and you can't get a ticket, then you find somebody within an hour of you and show up at their house and watch it if you're not going to convention in person, all right? And if you can't commit to the entire week, then you go show up on Wednesday for the opening ceremonies and you make sure you watch the product releases. Guys, you have to get to events. You have to. It's one of the biggest things that COVID took away from us in the last 2 years was community. People need community. They need fire. They need to be ignited. You cannot get ignited wallowing in your house, okay? You cannot get ignited sitting with one person. You need to be in a community of women and around like-minded people. So if all of your leaders have dropped off, then you go sit in the space of the one person on your team spending 300 PV every single month, okay? Because they're excited. They're spending 300 PV every single month. If you don't have anybody in your team spending 300 PV and you don't have any leaders that are doing anything, then you find a leader in your town that's not on your team and you go get in their space. And if you can't do that, then you get in a plane and you go to convention, all right? Or you get in a plane and you go to the 5K, you just make it happen. Or you get in your car and you drive, right? Just do it. Just do it, okay? Just absolutely do it. Yeah, you were not created to be alone. Jennifer Marshall, I love that you just said that, girl. So I'm going to give you my teacher's edition, okay? You got to email me at oilabilitywithsarah, SAREH, @gmail.com. Tell my team what you run, all right? You get a teacher's edition. So that's tip number 4. Guys, if you want to get fired up, you got to show up, okay? Show up. Tip number 4, get to events, host event. Convention equals leaders. Convention equals leaders. If you did not get there this year, you make sure you get there next year and you have at least one person, if not 2 people. My goal on my team is 100 people. Every year I want 100 people going to convention. I think this year we have 30. But we're going to take that fire from the 30 and we're going to go back home and they're going to be on fire. They're going to be totally on fire, right? Events will fire your people up and it'll get them in the game. Tip number 5, teach. Teach. Were you guys excited about your OGV last October, November in 2021? With the sales and the promos that they did, because mine spiked almost back to the level that it was for 1 month. Like it did amazing, amazing. You can have that OGV permanently if you do the one thing that grows your business like lightning. Get in front of people and get them excited. Get in front of people, get them excited. If you got to go back to doing one-on-ones until you can get 5 people in a single class, then go do it to build momentum. It's just humility. It's just humility, all right? It's okay to go back and start at the beginning again because this business is worth fighting for. If you don't know where to start, go grab the script book. All right, the first 5 classes are online and they're free. You don't even have to pay for them. So just go to oilabilityteam.com, click on the game plan script book. You guys are going to see all the PowerPoints. I made PowerPoints for all 25 of the classes. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free material, guys. Teach it off your cell phone. Teach it off your computer in Starbucks. There's no excuses. Just get your people to product education and your OGV will reflect it because product education equals OGV growth always, always. All right, always. Number 6, strategize your rank. And I wrote an entire book on this. I didn't grab it and bring it with me tonight, but I have a planner called the Game Planner, and it's all strategy. The whole thing is strategy. You can grab it up on Amazon. It has rank mapping in it. We teach you how to rank out plot out your next rank. It's got before and after screenshots, strategy, looking at all your statistics. If you know your weak places, you know what you need to be doing, whether it's focusing on getting people on loyalty rewards or focusing on doing more teaching or raising more leaders. You can see it because you got it all in your planner, right? So plot out your goals. Plot it out. Even if you just pick a couple pages this year, just the rank mapping and plotting out your OGV for the beginning and the end of the month. There's something really precious and special and strategic in knowing your trajectory. If you plan for it, it happens because you're speaking life. You're speaking life, look at the silver bound bonuses and make a plan to get yourself to silver this year. Write out where you want to be within a specific timeline and then make it happen. This is not the year where we whisper dreams. This is the year that we need to dream new dreams because our old ones have already happened. They've already happened. Tip number 7, this is really important. Market your next class in your current class. It's really important you're talking about the next thing that you're going to teach in your current class. And there's 2 things that I do. So one of them is I'm using the mini. This one's up on my website. It's also on Amazon. But I have all 25 classes in the mini, and I tell people, hey, you bring this bad dog back, to the next class, I'm going to give you some roll-ons for free. I'm going to give you a sample of CBD for free, or a little bit of beauty supplies for free, right? Cross off the ones as they come and use this as a passport to get them to more classes. Use it to track their stuff as they sign up, save their PIN, their password and everything. I love this little book because it really helps me to draw new people into my classes. And the second tool that I use are called Diamond Rising cards. These are little cards that I designed that help you draw people into the next class, and it does marketing for you so that you don't need to ask them all the marketing questions while you're sitting in front of them. So these are little cards that I hand out right at the beginning of class, and it just says, what do you guys want to learn? Hormones, sleep, stress, pain, colds and flus, cleaning, supplements, makeup, a wellness plan, kids and baby care, oils in the bedroom, oils in the Bible, oils in the kitchen. What do they want to learn about? Because if you have 5 people in the class, chances are you're not going to ask all these questions to them. So I just hand it out, ask them how they want to be contacted. Do they like being texted? Do they like being emailed? What do they like? And then this does all of the tracking for me. Then I keep the card and I use it when I contact them. I can say, hey, you wanted to learn about thieves. We wanted to learn about cleaning. I've got a thieves class coming up next week. This is the time. Does that work for you? And if they say no, I say, hey, why don't you tell me what time works for you, and I'll build the next class around you. Okay. These are up on my website. They're called Diamond Rising deck cards. So market your next class in your current class, and market your business. End each class. I do have some Spanish resources. Yes. Up on my website. So market your business also. When you end your classes, say, do you want to learn how to get your oils for free? If you want to learn how to get your oils for free, this is how you do it, and hand out the mini and then do a little teacher training with them. So tip number 8, one of the reasons we don't have leaders is we don't ever talk about the business, right? So number 8, be around your runners. Make a list of the people enrolling on your team and get into their space. I mentioned this briefly earlier. If you're around people that are excited, you're going to be excited. And if you don't have any runners, then be around the people placing those 300 PV orders, or people that just love Young Living, because you're going to absorb their excitement. But if you're around naysayers, or you're around people who are stagnant, or you are alone, you will be stagnant. You have to surround yourself with hope to get yourself in a place where you're not thinking negatively. Tip number 9 of 10, and then we're going to wrap up and I'm going to pray over you guys, all right? Collect data from the people coming to your classes. And that's the Diamond Rising deck cards that I just told you guys about, because they're going to check what they want to learn on those cards. So I don't have to call them and say, what are you interested in? What's your biggest health goal? What do you want to learn more about? I already know. They already checked it all off for me on the card. So I already know what they want. I can call them and say, hey, you were interested in hormones. Tell me what your schedule looks like. I'll bring it to you. I don't say, I've got this date open only on Tuesdays for 1 hour. I just say, what's your schedule look like? Let me work around you. And then tailor the class to exactly what they need without, bombarding them with questions. Let the card do the work for you. Then the last thing is speak life. All right, speak life. And remember who brought you this business. Remember who brought it to you, right? The Lord brought this business to you. So businesses grow when you speak life and you follow it with action. When you're purposeful and you pair that with action, then you will have an amazing business year in front of you. I said my best sign-up month was the month that I was in cancer treatment for 3 weeks, right? My best sign-up month. So dream it, track it, do it. This is the year that we rank together, right? I know who you are. You're Diamond Rising. You're a Diamond Rising, all right? You are a Diamond Rising. God is bigger, right? It's bigger. This is not his economy. Make sure that you are present, right? Be present for your team. Be present for yourself, and show up, all right? Show up. There will be hardship, guys, but God is bigger. God's bigger, all right? And that is adversity. I hope that this spoke to you guys a little bit. Let me pick a couple more winners, and then I'll wrap this up. And a huge shout out to Jen O'Sullivan also, just for giving me some space on her page. You guys can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram, Oil Ability with Sarah. I'm on Facebook. I teach every Tuesday night, so you can pop on there and soak in some of the teaching. And please continue to support Jen and her materials. They're amazing. I told you I use them with my own team. I love bringing in other leaders training because a lot of times people don't listen to the stuff that I do. They'll listen to stuff that other people will do, right? You guys have that on your own teams. It's the same thing on my team too. So let me pick a couple more winners. I'm going to give away these minis because these are just a huge blessing to me. I filled my whole suitcase with these when I was in Tijuana. That's how I got the notebook with 44 names in it, was because of these little books. So let me pick a few. I want to win. Pick me. Jen, I already got a whole box for you. All right, let's see. Rosemary, I always misspell your name, friend. Krashnik. Rosemary, you're winner number 1. Kathy Ridey Hoy, you're winner number 2. You guys got to talk to me here. Talk to me. I'm going to pick some more. Irma Guerrero, your winner number 3. Lori Stockman-Perek, your winner number 4. Shelly Steele, your winner number 5. Pam Nicole, your winner number 6. And Jenny Smithberg, your winner number 7. All right. I'm going to get you guys 20 minis. So just email me at oilabilitywithsarah@gmail.com. And God bless you guys. Remember who you are. All right. Don't forget that. And remember how big God is. Don't forget that. And remember the picture that I showed you guys at the very, very beginning. You know, he's got you, right? In those moments when you're afraid, you just say, God, I trust you. God, I trust you. God, I trust you. God, I trust you. And he will say, Gail, I got you. Jen, I got you. Stephanie, I got you. Diane, I got you. Rising prices don't scare me. Ann, I got you. Stephanie, I got you. Sue, I got you. Carrie, I got you, right? I got you. I got you. I got you. And I'm not going to leave you. Not in inflation, not in a recession. I got you, right? So get out there and go build in adversity. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.